Bradley Beal found a way to finesse the entire NBA, and nobody's talking about it. Bradley Beal was selected with the 3rd overall pick back in 2012, and he's put together a very solid NBA career. He's an all-rookie, he has 3 All-Star appearances, and he made the All-NBA team in 2021. He was selected to be a running mate next to John Wall with those early Wizards teams, and he was exactly that. But eventually they realized there was a ceiling to that team. John Wall couldn't stay healthy, so they decided to move on from John Wall and build around Bradley Beal. In those first 2 seasons without John Wall, he came out and he averaged 30 points per game, and he was on a heater. He was making All-NBA teams, he was making All-Star teams, he was hooping. But unfortunately, they weren't very good. The first year from averaging 30, they didn't make the playoffs, and the second year from averaging 30, they made the playoffs as an 8 seed, but they lost in 5 games. Despite the limited success, they still made the playoff. The Washington Wizards thought they had something, so they decided to give Bradley Beal the contract that he was eligible for after making All-NBA. He received a 5-year, $251 million Supermax contract after that All-NBA season, and it had a no-trade clause, which is very important to the story. No-trade clauses are very rare, and it's an incentive to where a team just can't up and trade you. They have to let you know, and you have to accept the trade as well. And this is not just talking about the team you're going to, the pieces that you want to be traded for too. No trade clauses are very rare, and you don't even see the top superstars in our league having no trade clause. That just goes to show how rare they are, and the Washington Wizards thought it would be a good idea to give Bradley Beal one. Now, unfortunately, as soon as he got that bag, his play dropped immediately. He took 4 less shots a game. His point production dipped by about 7 points, and they weren't able to make the playoffs anymore after that. And eventually, the Wizards realized that it was time to move on. On the other side of the conference, the Phoenix Suns had just got eliminated from the second round, and were looking to make a couple more moves to finally turn their team into a championship contender, and they pulled the trigger on the Bradley Beal trade. In doing so, they lost all their point guard play, and if you go back about 10 months on my channel, you can see that I wasn't a fan of the trade, and I thought the Big 3 era was over with. We get to the end of the season, the Suns are barely in the play-in. They win 46 games, but it's the first year, everybody gives them a pass. You have Kevin Durant, you have Devin Booker, make it work. We get to the season, and the Suns aren't a very good team. They're alright, but they're not that great. Bradley Beal only plays 15 games, they only win 46 games, he's averaging 18 points. But like we said before, we have Kevin Durant, we have Devin Booker. Of course, he's only going to average 18 points because he's the 3rd option now compared to being the 1st option the first 4 to 5 years. We're going to get to the playoffs and we're going to figure it out. That seems like to be the whole mindset around this Phoenix Suns team. We get to the playoffs and the Suns are matched up with this new Minnesota team. They're the 1 seed most of the season. They're coming in as a 3 seed, but we all know that they're a good team. But the Suns end up being the betting favorite. And all that is strictly because of the fact that you have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. And we all know how that ends up going down. The offense is stagnant. They're playing LA Fitness pickup style ball. Kevin Durant is standing in the corner, and Bradley Beal is not contributing at all. Throughout the playoffs, he was only averaging 17 points per game. His efficiency dropped, and he had one of the worst game 4s I've ever seen. In that game 4, he was a -12. He had 9 points. He shot 4 for 13, and he had 6 turnovers, and he fouled out. And on top of that, the 3-man lineup of Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, 1 Hall of Famer, 1 All-Star, and 1 All-NBA caliber player, had a net rating of -17.9, which is the 2nd worst net rating of all 3-man lineups that played at least 100 minutes in the playoffs. So this just isn't other teams' big 3s. This is including role player 3-man lineups. The worst one was OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Miles McBride with a -19.9. But these are role players. You have a big 3 of Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, and you had a -17.9 net rating. So off of that, the front office should automatically know that this isn't going to work. I know most teams need more than 1 year, but it can't look this bad. So as a front office, what do? Well, it's time to obviously make some changes, make some trades, pick up some pieces in free agency. Well, the latter part you can't really dabble in because you have Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. Those are 3 expensive players. So the next thing is, okay, let's make some trade. There has to be some young, bad team out there with a lot of money willing to take that on for a little bit of veteran presence. Maybe like a Charlotte. Maybe Detroit could take that on if they needed some perimeter scoring. But here comes the problem. Washington decided to give Bradley Beal a no-trade clause, so he has that no-trade clause right now as we speak. You can't go to Bradley Beal and say that we're sending you to Charlotte, because he can decline that. You can't go to Bradley Beal and say that we're sending you to Detroit. He's going to decline that. You're not going to turn down an opportunity to play with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker because you feel like you have a chance to compete for a championship, but I'm going to be the first one to tell you. The way that team is set up as of right now it's not going to work. Maybe if you didn't get swept, maybe if you lost in 7, but you got swept by Minnesota. And that has nothing to do with Minnesota. That's not taken away from Minnesota. Minnesota's a very good team. We're seeing that right now. And make sure you subscribe. We'll probably get a video in on that. But the fact that that big three was constructed and it looks so bad, it's a problem. It's a concern. And the Suns are in a really tough spot right now. And the core of the problem is Bradley Beal, unfortunately. The general manager tried to rub it off and say 26 other teams would trade to be in their spots right now, and I'm going to be the first to tell you that is far from the truth. I'm a Hawks fan, and I wouldn't even want to trade position with them, have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on my team, just because of the limited flexibility and the fact that the big three play together so poorly. When you have three dudes that genuinely like to do the same thing, they like to get in that mid-range area and score, they're all really good scorers, the synergy may not always be there, because when Devin Booker is working out, what is Bradley Beal doing to affect the game? When Kevin Durant is working out, what is Devin Booker doing to affect the game? It's like that for all of them in their respective ways. Yes, Bradley Beal can catch and shoot. Yes, Kevin Durant can catch and shoot, but you're not paying them all that money to catch and shoot. Today, they made their first step into trying to move into the new direction by firing Frank Vogel because, yes, Kevin Durant was sitting in the corner a lot. And when you have Kevin Durant, your time is limited. He's already 35. You need to get the most out of him. But at the same time, man, I've always believed that coaching is important, but the players are still playing. The personnel is still the same. It's only so much you could do with 3 different guys that are elite scorers. The Suns also traded away all their draft picks to make this big three happen because apparently the GM up top doesn't care about draft picks. So the Suns are in a very tough situation. I don't know how they get out of this situation. If you know, let me know down in the comments below. If you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're locked into the playoffs. We're watching the playoffs all summer. We're getting this content pushed out. And I want you to be a part of my journey to 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for watching the video. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe. But I'm out, man. Peace.